All right, so get ready to hit the accelerator as we take a deep dive into automotive history, specifically the Maserati Ghibli.
The Ghibli, what a car.
It really is something special, and we're going to unpack why that is.
We're going to delve into the design, the engineering, and really try to capture what makes this car such an icon.
Exactly. So, to set the scene, imagine yourself back in 1966 at the Turin Auto Show.
Ah, Turin, what a backdrop for a car like this.
Amidst all the Ferraris and Lamborghinis, a newcomer rolls in and steals the show.
That's right, the Maserati Ghibli.
This, my friend, is a car that demands attention, and we're going to find out why.
Well, I think to understand the Ghibli, we have to start with its namesake, the Ghibli, a powerful North African desert wind.
I see what you're doing there, connecting the car's character to its name.
Exactly. The Ghibli was designed to evoke that same sense of raw power and elegance.
And it certainly does that.
Now, the man responsible for this masterpiece was Giugiaro.
Wait, Giugiaro, isn't he the guy behind the De Tommaso Mangusta?
The very same. Giugiaro was a visionary. He had this knack for capturing movement and emotion in his designs.
And you can see that in every line of the Ghibli.
Absolutely. From the long, low profile to those iconic pop-up headlights, every detail was meticulously considered.
It's like a sleek predator ready to pounce.
That's a great way to put it. Giugiaro understood that a car is more than just a machine. It's an expression.
And with the Ghibli, he created an expression that's both timeless and captivating.
You know, speaking of captivating, let's talk about something you might not expect in a grand tour from that era.
Go on, surprise me.
A hatchback.
A hatchback. On a Maserati. Seriously.
Yes. Giugiaro wanted to challenge the conventions of a GT car, to add a touch of practicality to this beauty.
So you're telling me I could take this thing for a weekend getaway and still have room for luggage?
Precisely. Throw your bags in the back, drop the top if you have the Spider version.
Okay, now you're just teasing me. A Ghibli Spider with the top down, cruising along the Italian Riviera.
Don't forget those winding mountain roads.
This just got dangerous for my bank account. I can already picture it.
See, the Ghibli isn't just a car, it's an experience.
And we're just getting started.
That's right, we've only just scratched the surface of what makes this car so special.
But I'm ready to pop the hood now.
Yes. Let's talk about the heart of this beast.
Because a car this stunning needs some serious muscle to back it up, right?
You bet it does. We're talking about a 4.7-liter V8 engine.
Music to my ears.
This thing churned out a cool 310 horsepower.
Now that's what I call power.
Enough to rocket the Ghibli to a top speed of 165 miles per hour.
Wow, that must have been exhilarating for its time. Speaking of which, how did the Ghibli stack up against its rivals? You know, the Daytona, the Miura, those big names.
It's a great question because this was the golden age of Italian sports cars.
Right, a tough crowd to stand out in.
But the Ghibli, it held its own, you see, while those others were all about raw power.
Untamed beasts, you might say.
Yeah, exactly. The Ghibli offered something different, a more refined kind of performance.
So it wasn't just about brute force.
No, it was about elegance, about a luxurious driving experience.
More like a perfectly tailored suit than a roaring monster truck.
That's a fantastic analogy. You hit the nail on the head.
Now, our research mentions something interesting about the Ghibli's rear axle.
Ah, yes. Now, this is where things get a bit technical.
Hit me with it, I'm ready.
So, most European sports cars of that era were moving towards independent rear suspensions.
Okay, and what's so special about that?
Well, it generally meant a smoother ride, better handling, especially on those winding roads.
Makes sense. So what did the Ghibli have?
A rigid rear axle.
A rigid rear axle. Really? It seems a bit unusual for a car like this.
You're right. It was a bold move by Maserati.
So why do you think they went with that?
Well, it had its advantages. For one, it was simpler, more durable.
Okay, I can see that.
And Maserati's engineers, they were masters of their craft.
Oh, I bet.
They managed to tune that chassis to deliver a surprisingly comfortable ride.
So it still had that luxurious feel, even with the rigid axle.
Exactly. It wasn't just about performance, it was about the entire experience.
And speaking of experience, we have to talk about the Ghibli's interior.
Ah, yes. The inside of this car is a story in itself.
We've touched on the leather, the suede, all those luxurious materials.
But to truly appreciate it, you have to imagine yourself behind the wheel.
taking it all in, the smell, the feel.
It's like stepping into a time capsule of luxury.
Okay, now you're just making me want to find one and take it for a spin.
Well, before you do, we should probably talk about what makes the Ghibli so special.
Go on, enlighten me.
The Ghibli had this unique dry sump lubrication system.
Dry sump lubrication. Now that doesn't sound very luxurious.
You're right, it's a bit technical.
But hey, this is a deep dive, so dive in.
So instead of a traditional oil pan at the bottom of the engine,
Right.
the Ghibli used a separate tank and a pump to circulate the oil.
Sounds complicated. Why go through all that trouble?
Well, it was necessary because of the Ghibli's low-profile design.
Ah, so the ground clearance was an issue.
Exactly. A traditional oil pan would have been too low, too vulnerable.
So they had to get creative.
They did, and it's a testament to their ingenuity.
And speaking of ingenuity, let's get back to that luxurious interior.
Ah, yes. Those materials, while exquisite, required a certain level of care.
Delicate, you might say.
Precisely. Sunlight, wear and tear, these things could take their toll.
And speaking of statements, we'd be remiss not to mention the Ghibli SS.
Ah, yes, the SS, the even more potent sibling.
More potent, you say? Tell me more.
Picture this. They took the already incredible Ghibli and they cranked everything up a notch.
Okay, I'm listening.
A larger 4.9-liter engine, 335 horsepower.
Whoa, that's a serious upgrade.
It was. They also gave it a facelift, redesigned the dashboard, those sorts of things.
So it was even more stylish, even more powerful.
Precisely. The Ghibli SS was the ultimate expression of what this car could be.
The ultimate grand tourer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A car that could turn heads on the autostrada and transport you in absolute comfort and style.
It's amazing to think that a car with such a relatively short production run, from 1967 to 1973, could have such a lasting impact.
It really speaks to the Ghibli's timeless design, its performance, and that undeniable Italian flair.
It's a legend, no doubt about it.
A legend that continues to inspire and captivate to this day.
And on that note, I think we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We've explored the Ghibli's origins, its design, its engineering, even its quirks.
We've journeyed from the Turin Auto Show to the winding roads of the Italian countryside.
And we've only just scratched the surface. There's so much more to discover about this iconic car and its legacy.
Which is why I love these deep dives, always something new to learn, to appreciate.
Exactly. It's about keeping that passion for automotive history alive.